I don't want this on a deer in the vitals, okay? Even though that spot might be small, I don't want that movement. It's going to be even worse because you're nervous and you're excited and all that stuff. So Alright guys, hello, welcome back to their outdoor adventure somewhere in Wisconsin. It's not an outdoor adventure today. I have not filmed a video in such a long time. I'm sorry about that. I've been super busy and it's just I have not had the time to make a video, and I don't like to just make random videos. I like to make videos that I feel like will be a little bit worthwhile for whoever's watching them. So I got some stuff from Bowfinger Archery. I bought these. I bought some outdoor target stabilizers, so we're going to get those set up today. I'm going to kind of show you how I set up my bars on my bow. So I bought that XCH target bar from Bowfinger Archery, and I don't see a ton of guys shooting Bowfinger stabilizers and stuff. I've really liked their scope that I bought last year. I really enjoyed this product. I mean, it's been super durable. It's I really like it. So I'm a believer in their product. I've also shot their rear stabilizer mount for a while now on this bow, as well as the bow you guys are used to seeing me shoot, which is my Energy 35. So I got a new target bow this winter. I was going to do a bow build series on it. I never did do it, but this is Bowfinger's rear stabilizer mount on this bow. I bought another one actually for my target setup. I'll move this one that's on this target rig right now. I'll move this over to my E35, which I'll use for outdoor and 3D and stuff. And then I bought a new one, which I'm not even sure if it's out yet. It might be out, but this is their again, it's their rear stabilizer mounting bracket. So good stuff, high quality. I really like working with it. It's got all kinds of etching on it, so you can keep track of where your bars are placed and how they look or how they feel on the bow. And this one's revamped. It's got rounded edges on it, whereas the old one, it's got rounded edges on it. As you can see, everything's kind of rounded off. The old one, as you can see right here, is more squared. So like this piece is more squared off. On this one, it's more rounded off. So it's a little bit more streamlined piece. It's a little smaller, it looks like. It's not as bulky as their old version of it. Their newer version is pretty sweet. So one difference in these is this is a 30-inch bar. The bar I shoot on my target stuff now is a 28-inch bar. This bar is much lighter than my old target bars. Both of them are. So that's also something we have to consider when setting them up. So I don't know if I'll have to run as much weight on them, less weight. Just kind of, when I set up my bars, I just kind of go by feel. And however the bow feels, that's basically how I set it up. The XCH target bar, which is real nice right here. It's got an epoxy finish. So it's a carbon bar. It has this epoxy finish on it, which I believe is one of a kind. I'm not 100% sure on that, but this bar has the epoxy finish. Their fax bars have the epoxy finish, and their XL hunting stabilizers, those are also the epoxy finish. So as I was saying, Bowfinger has 3 different styles of bars that they sell for the target stuff. The XCH is it's a micro diameter, or I don't even know if it's considered micro, but it's a skinnier, thinner shaft, stiff, super light. This thing is very, very, very light. They have their fax bars, which are another target stabilizer. They're a little bit thicker diameter stabilizer, and they're a little bit heavier. And then they also have their Mod King stabilizers, and those are like their upper tier bars. They're also thinner, machined a little bit different than these. But I went with these XCHs. The XCHs and the fax bars are the same cost. So whether you buy the XCH or the other one, it doesn't matter. It's the same cost either way. So I'm going to roll with these for this outdoor season. This is my outdoor setup, so I wanted a skinnier bar. My old bars were kind of big and bulky, plus I wanted to be able to have some long bars for my other bow as well. If I shoot any 3Ds or anything, I want to shoot an open class. So I'll have those bars ready to go for that. One of the biggest things for me when I set up some new stabilizers is really just finding that proper weight balance that I want on the bow, because they all feel a little bit different. They're not all weighted exactly the same. When you put these on your bow, especially if you're going to shoot a lot of weight, quick little tip is you really got to crank them down hard, and there's little notches in them, so make sure that you slide, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you want to slide this notch up against the riser pretty tight so it can't slide, because what happens if you get a lot of weight on there, this can slide down and it changes the way that bow is balancing over time, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh my god, it's loose. So get this tight against the riser. You got to really crank these bolts down on this so they don't come loose. They do have little lock washers on them, but crank them down tight, and then you don't have to worry about them later on. Well, as tight as I can get it with this little Allen here. And then I'm going to throw on my quick disconnect here. If you guys don't use the QDs, you should. Makes your life a lot easier. Right now, the weight on this bar is going straight back, and it's not level. So I'm just going to start level. You can see it's pointed up a little bit. I'm going to drop this down a little bit, and I'm actually going to swing it out away from my riser just a touch so I can have some room to play with it when I start to set it up. Right now it's pretty much straight back. To adjust the vertical, this plane right here, I guess, you loosen the screw, this bolt, and you can see it slides pretty easy, but it really does crank down good. So I'm just going to kind of get it level off the back of the bow, maybe slightly down. I'm going to point it down slightly. And what's nice about these rear bow mounts is once they're set, they're set. They don't move. There's no teeth in them. You can be very precise with your movements. But once they're set, they're set. Doesn't matter how much weight you throw on there, you can't move them around. So that's pretty sweet. So the bar is set down slightly, and I'm going to go ahead and swing it out just a little bit as well. Same wrench right there. Alright, so easy enough. Rear bar is installed. So let's grab the front bar. I'm going to be putting this quick disconnect on the front. This is just straight. I prefer my QDs to be straight out in front of me. I just feel personally like I hold a little bit better when it's straight. I have a 10-degree down as well from Bowfinger that I bought last year, and I used it for about a month and a half. I didn't like it. This is from my old hunting setup. It was actually a little undersized, but it was the only quick disconnect I had. And this adds about an inch, maybe a half inch to your stabilizer length. So if you're hunting, like if you have a limit on your stabilizer length and you're running a quick disconnect, you might want to go a little bit smaller with a stabilizer. Simple. Pop it in, tighten it up. These are much lighter. Now I know I don't have any weight on them yet, but they do feel much lighter than my old ones. Alright, so bars are on. Next thing I need to do is I'm actually going to pop them off because I'm going to put some weight on them. And I'm just going to start close to what I had on my old bow, except the front bar is a little bit longer, so I probably won't need quite as much weight out front. My old bar, just a little difference. These are shadow stabilizers. Good budget stabilizer. They've treated me well. It's a thicker diameter shaft. So I don't know if you guys can tell. It's hard to tell because it's just the angles, but this one is much thinner. The XCH bars are much thinner. I'd say the fax bars are probably thickness-wise are closer to this. So I have 6 ounces on the front of there. So I'm going to take this off. I don't think I need 6 ounces on the front, but we'll see. So I had 6 ounces on the front, and I had quite a bit of weight on the back. 22. That's 23 ounces. 23 ounces on the back. I'm just gonna start with that on the back, but I don't think I need to run quite as much in the front. Maybe I'll like it, but I'm going to run 2 less ounces on the front because the bar's a little bit longer. Now, one thing that might actually hold people back from getting bars, which I don't blame you because it's kind of expensive, but the weights are pretty expensive. Alternatives, you guys can use, like a lot of guys who are just trying to save money and find out how much weight they actually need, they'll just use like fender washers, and they'll just load them up on there to get the ounces, then you can just weigh them, and then you know what you want to buy later on. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to throw 4 ounces on my front bar. I'm actually just going to throw 4.5 ounces on there because that's this black one right here. And if I want to add another 1.5 ounces, I can. I think I had 6 ounces before. So the bar's a little bit longer. I'll add a little bit of weight. Now, a lot of times if you're getting into hunting, these stabilizers, they are getting into shooting some target stuff and you're buying your bars and everything. You got to buy these screws too, these set screws. Now, I don't usually buy these from the bow manufacturer. You can see here in my kit, I just bought a bunch of them in bulk that I just keep in my like stabilizer kit now. Much more friendly. I think I spent $30 on all of those, and it might cost you $30 for like, it might cost you $15 for like 3 pieces if you buy them from the stabilizer companies. Okay, so my suggestion is find the thread size, go online and find them. They're basically just thick set screws. So you can see one end has like the Allen head on it. Right there. Has the Allen head on the one end. And the other end is just like a set screw end. Okay? So I buy 1.5 inch. That's just the size I buy. I can make those work pretty much in every situation. Alright, so I said 4.5 ounces on the front. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Start with that 4.5 ounces. And what will happen is I'm going to get these weights on and I'm just going to shoot them until I feel comfortable with the weight. I'm going to throw the 23 ounces back on there too. And I think, do I have 23 ounces? So, oh, put a dent in my new stuff. And 22 ounces on the back. Okay? Front bar, back bar, all set up. Now I'm just going to go shoot for a little bit. So when I picked up my bow, one thing I noticed right away is that when I held my bow up, I mean, it is leaning way too far to my left. So it doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel natural when I hold it. So I'm going to go ahead and tilt this back bar in quite a bit. I just moved it out too much. So I'll go about halfway in between where it was. Don't go too tight yet. Pick it up. Feels pretty good. I'm gonna test it one more time at full draw. Let's tighten this down a little. All right, it feels pretty good right there. But I'll know more once I get it to full draw. A little word of advice. If you're just starting to shoot target stabilizers, don't just throw on 23 ounces in the back and 6 or 7 ounces in the front. You'll notice a significant difference in how your bow feels. When you add weight, your weight really slows down, but you'll get tired a lot faster. So I suggest start with like 4 to 6 ounces on the back and maybe a couple ounces on the front. And then once you realize your arm's not getting tired anymore, add a couple more ounces to the back, add an ounce to the front. A lot of guys will run more weight on their back bar than their front bar, but some guys will just load up their front bar as well. It just depends on your style of shooting. I personally like, at least from what I've shot, I like a little bit more weight on my back bar than my front bar. I'm gonna go throw a target on, and let's throw some arrows down range. My stabilizer weights. First arrow of the day, I'm just gonna shoot like 6 or 7 to start here, and we'll go from there. Can already tell the bars feel a little bit left. Whoa. Hit very high, but it's because I was shooting 30 yards the other day. Felt good. Didn't feel like the greatest shot. Bars feel real nice. When I pick them up and I set them on my hip and stuff, I don't feel any flex at all in them. Last arrow for now. Good. Those shots felt pretty decent. These are my first 5 shots today. So that end right there, my hold felt okay. The bow felt like it was leaning a little bit this way yet, to the left. So I'm gonna go ahead and tilt that back bar in towards my body a little bit more. And that should help a little bit with that, and I felt not quite as stable as I would like to feel in the dot. Now you can see the arrows ended up in the right spot. So I'm gonna shoot a few more ends before I actually decide on if I like how it feels or if I don't like how it feels, or if I want more weight or less weight. Likely I'm gonna go with more weight before I go with less weight, only because I had more weight originally on my bow. As far as front to back weight, it feels good. I don't feel like the bow is falling forward out of my hand. I don't feel like I'm fighting it. I just might want to add a few ounces either to the back or to the back and the front, just to slow that movement down a little bit more. So that's kind of what I'm thinking so far. But I'll shoot another end here. Sometimes it's hard to really perfect that float and that balance shooting inside. So I'd really perfect it probably when I go out to 60 yards. Once I get outdoors and start shooting out there, I'll probably perfect that there and just really focus on my float and add weight and take off weight as I need to. But let's throw some more down there. Zoom in. Long hold there. Here's what I'm fighting right now. I feel like the bow wants to dip down just a little bit in the front. When I'm holding, kind of wants to drop a little bit. I'll shoot one more arrow down there. Those 5 arrows. Felt like I was fighting that front one to dip down on me a little bit. Still a good group down here. They're a little more left though than my first group. Solid group at 20 yards, but I could feel like I felt like I was fighting my bow a little bit. So I'm gonna make a change. I don't know exactly what I want to do yet, but I am gonna make a change. I think I'm just gonna add 1 ounce to the back bar. That's what I'm gonna do next. Like I said, I'm gonna add 1 ounce to the back here. See if that brings my, what feels like I'm holding up a little bit. See if that fixes that. That screw's gonna stick out the back for now. That's okay though. Let's throw some more down range. I'll be honest, it feels much different already. So. Didn't feel like the best shot in the world. That one felt good. Felt good, a little bit of a long hold. I personally felt a little shaky, but the pin really held in that X really well. This felt pretty good. A little left, which is where most of mine have been. Again, I'm not focused on my X counts right now, I'm focused on how that is holding. My groups down here are okay, they're pretty tight. It's a X group. All these would end up in the X if I move my group over. I'm gonna move my pin over a little bit so I can center this up, and then we'll shoot a few more. Good solid group though. This whole group is nice and skinny this way. It's a little wider this way. So if anybody's got any feedback on how to tighten this left and right up, let me know in the comments down below. That was kind of an ugly end there. It's the difference between losing a little bit of focus and form and mechanics. I had those two high ones right here. Those were just bad, ugly shots. They still ended up in the 5, but I think I'm gonna call it a day as far as the bow for now. I'll fine tune it at 60 yards and you guys can do the same. Fine tune your setups at longer distances because your shake or your movement is a little bit more prevalent. If you are just starting to shoot a lot, it's important to know that movement of your pin is okay. So your pin should be moving around. If my face is the target, okay, my pin moves around inside of there, but it always comes back to the middle. So just accept the movement. Sometimes the shot's going to go off over here, sometimes the shot's going to go back over here, but more often than not, you're coming towards the middle as you're moving. Okay, for me personally, less weight on my stabilizers, my pin is more like this in that white circle. Okay, this white circle. When I add weight to my stabilizers, add a little bit of weight to my stabilizers, my pin is more like this in that white circle. If my face is the white circle, that's what that pin is like. I add a lot of weight like I'm shooting right now, my pin movement starts to be like this in that circle. Okay? So that's kind of what you have to figure out what you like. On my hunting bows, I don't want them to be extremely heavy, but I value the stabilizers and what they do too much to accept just not shooting them. I don't want this on a deer in the vitals, okay? Even though that spot might be small, I don't want that movement. It's gonna be even worse because you're nervous and you're excited and all that stuff. So you gotta get over the pin movement. Pin movement happens. Pin movement's okay. The best shooters in the world have pin movement. They have a little bit less than me, okay, and they're a little bit more consistent. They also add weight to their bows to slow that movement down. My hunting setup feels more like this, okay? My target setup feels more like this. No stabilizers on my bow, feels more like this. Now my pin usually will stay in the white, but I don't like how that feels. I want to slow it down with my target setup. I hope that helps you guys set up your stuff if you're going to be setting up your bars. That's pretty much how I run it. And hopefully I'll be getting some more archery videos up soon. It's been too while. It was all duck hunting all fall, and spring is here, summer's here. Start shooting a lot more. I shot all winter league and stuff. I shot some of my best scores actually this winter with my old hunting bow. So you guys will, I'll show that up on the screen right here. Now that was my best score I ever shot in a practice round, a 300 24X. Kind of a cheating 324X. The 299 24X was actually my best score straight through beginning to end. But you guys can see I shot that 9 on my second end. So I shot 2 bonus ends at the end just to see if I could shoot a 300 as far as 10 straight ends in a row. And I did. I shot a 324X. Super pumped about that. I hope this helped you set up your stabilizer bars or give you a little bit of how I set them up. Obviously, is my way the only way? Is my way the perfect way? No, you guys have all different ways to set them up. Google it, search it, whatever you want, but that's how I set up my stuff. when I go outdoors, I'll fine tune it. I'll move the bars around a little bit to slow my pin movement down a little bit more. I might even add a little bit more weight once I get used to the weight that's on those bars. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Chase. We're always somewhere in Wisconsin. Have a good one.